Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again. So last week we talked about shame, and so we thought this week a good lead-in would to talk about body dysmorphia, which everyone has, again, just like shame, on different levels. And what I always say is we are our own worst critics. And if you haven't noticed, Robert and I have different perspectives when it comes to our journeys, and just like men and women have different perspectives on body dysmorphia, men feel it too. And so I wanted to have you start off how you feel, because you had a different body growing up and into your adulthood than I did. So how do you look at body dysmorphia, and how do you describe it, and how does it make you feel?
Well, I can only take it from the perspective of I go to surgery on Monday for skin removal. And, you know, how do I feel about it? So one half of me is very excited. The other half of me is very scared. And I'm trying to reconcile those feelings, because it's overwhelming to consistently have to think about how you're portrayed in your own head, knowing that you're fixing to make such a drastic change to your body, to your appearance through a surgical intervention, and then wrestling with the fact of the box that society places you in.
What do you mean by that?
So we all are individuals. And so we are a sum of our experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. We are some of our experiences, our choices, lifestyles, the identity that's placed on you. And so society does that all through our lives, right? But it starts when we're younger, in our informative years, that we are just growing and learning about the world around us, and then ultimately it goes into adulthood, where all those things that we are constantly trying to strive for, it's exhausting, because it just goes to feed you and put you into the box that you are in your head, the box that other people put you in, because you find yourself running the rat race, and at the end of the day, we're all rats. And so I think for me, and where I'm at on body dysmorphia, is I was placed in this box. When I think about the box that I was put in as a young child, and that I remained in until I went on this journey. And that's because I literally am struggling with the fact of, because I grew up always fat. And that is what my mind tells me, is you're this guy. And every day for the last 30 plus years, I've looked in the mirror and I've seen a expanding waistline, and, you know, different rolls or crevices in your body, you know, and it's such a jarring feeling to think about Monday morning when I wake up and get dressed to go to the surgical center. I can literally reach down and grab an abundant amount of fat. And that is what I'm dealing with, because even though I've had this journey, I still see myself as being 300 plus pounds. I can't get away from that. Even being closer to the 200, the 100, you know, mark. When I say 100, 199, right? So I'm currently at 217 pounds as of this morning. And I still think of myself as 330 plus. Yeah. People tell you, you know, oh my God, you're fit, you got a great physique. And I'm appreciative of it, because some days I see it, but most days I don't. Some days I can reconcile it, and I get up and look at myself in the morning and I'm like, I look great. And then other days it's the way a shirt hangs on me, right? It's my mask. My mask comes back and I put my mask back on, and I can't get away from it. And we were having this conversation at the gym this morning, and a friend of ours said something that was so poetic. You know, I made reference to the fact that we are all individuals, but in our journey, we're not absolute, which means that we can physically take and make changes to ourselves. But the problem is that we are human and we like immediate gratification. And so in the absence of immediate gratification, we tend to quit before we have any significant results. Right. And being consistent and resilient in my own mind's eye's image, the mirror doesn't lie. The mirror tells you exactly what it is that you're seeing. And that's what he said. The mirror doesn't lie, but your mind lies.
Yeah, and that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it, because that is what body dysmorphia is. Mm-hmm. The definition, and I had written it down, and so I apologize for not memorizing it, is basically the overanalyzation internally of your flaws.
We are our own worst critics.
We're our own worst critics. Mm-hmm. But the next sentence in that definition, and I'm paraphrasing, says, but usually those flaws are unnoticeable or unrecognizable to others. Mm-hmm. So it is truly your own worst critic. You're the only one in your own head. And I think that's where I'm at, is I'm trying to give myself grace. I'm trying to be vulnerable in talking about how I feel about this. Women are very open to talk about their emotional journey, the physical attributes they don't like about themselves. But men have this bravado, this expectation that you cannot take, and vulnerability is weakness, and weakness is
they're big, strong, whatever.
Yeah. Because weakness means that you're less of a man, and that's at least my error. I think that generations post mine have been better about accepting those differences, but I think that it's easier to make transitions when you're younger. It's much harder when you're mid-40s and you make a transition. Mm-hmm. It's definitely more difficult to unwind 20, 30 years worth of bad behaviors and reteach yourself. It's a new learned experience. So overall, I think body dysmorphia is a real pain point, and you got to find the resilience, and you have to be able to take in as much as you can get internal with your own self. You got to be able to find your path back out, and you got to, again, re-anchor in the why, because you're worth it.
So you said something, some days are better than others. Some days you see yourself as you are, and some days you still see yourself as that 330 plus. Would you say it's gotten, or as you've progressed through your journey, do you ever, or have you ever seen yourself future-wise, like how you want to envision your body?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've had this conversation before, and I keep saying it was a commercial for a supplement, and there was a gentleman that was on the commercial for the supplement. It wasn't even it was print media, so it was just a magazine, kind of like article or advertisement. He's got this great physique, It doesn't look like it's been overpowered by like the desire to be a larger bodybuilder in competition, but it's just a great physique, like an all-around natural kind of look. Heavier than what I would think that like a beach body volleyball player type would look. More of kind of like fuller, but still really defined. And I always thought, oh, that's how I'm gonna look whenever I take and finally reach my goals. I said that for so long in my head, that's exactly the image I see. And that's not the image that I see when I look in the mirror, nor is it the image that I see in my head about myself. And so, take that one for a ride. I have three different variables. I have the image that I think I'm going to look like that has resonated with me for a long time, but I'm nowhere near that shape. I got the image of me being fat, heavyset, robust, call it what you will, that I still fight with, even though I'm not there anymore. And then I have what I truly look like, which is indistinguishable to the other two. And then even Monday afternoon, that's going to be a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So overall, I don't have any regrets about what I've done and where I'm going. Regret is a wasted emotion, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is.
Because it's designed to teach you a lesson. And if you can regret it if you didn't get the lesson. Because life keeps repeating itself until you learn. Yeah. And then you like, don't do that because this is the outcome.
We learn more from our mistakes. Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's been about finding myself, calming my anxieties, recognizing that, again, you're an individual, you are everything that you want to be and you deserve it to yourself. That if you're going to take and put energy into anything, why not into your health? You're worth every bit of it. And I don't think enough people tell people that.
No.
So
no, we need more love, more self-love.
Yeah. So my journey is much different than your journey, right? So tell me about how body dysmorphia has impacted you from the beginning, and you're a year ahead of me at this point. Yeah. So what do you see, and what are some of the things that you wish you could teach me, or some of the things that you're still struggling in your own head with?
So, I mean, obviously I still have body dysmorphia still. I look in the mirror and some days I still see myself as the 250 pounds. Some days I still see myself as that, you know, soccer player that I used to be, or tennis player. And then I'm trying to get it to where more and more days I see myself as I am right now. But I think a part of me will never let my big self go because it keeps me grounded.
Oh, that's very true, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, before we moved to Seattle, I was arrogant, and I don't ever want to be arrogant again. I mean, what does arrogance get you? So I think, you know, us ladies, you know, you look back at pictures when you're younger and you beat yourself up because you're like, if only I would have given myself more self-love, like I thought I was fat then, look at me now, kind of thing. You know, if only I would have been like, no, I'm not fat, I'm okay. And then just accepted yourself as you are. And I think anytime you go through this journey, growing up, losing weight, gaining weight, it takes your mind, you know, 2 to 5 to 10 steps behind how you actually are physically. And so it takes your mind a while to catch up. And, you know, I don't think it ever goes away how you were versus how you are. But going back to your original question, the differentiating point is that when I was growing up, I would always beat myself up because I'm not as skinny as everybody else. And then I started gaining the weight, and I would look back at the pictures and I'd be like, God, if only I would have thought I wasn't, you know, as fat then as I think now or whatnot. And then I started my journey, my final weight loss. I'm gonna do this. And I couldn't self as I was prior to gaining weight. And then, but still saw myself as fat. And I don't know.
It's a hard topic to discuss because it's very much individualized.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody feels it. And I think we need to talk about it more, or at least talk to yourself about it more and give yourself, like, for example, ladies, you know how we all hate this dreaded back fat? Yeah. How many times did I change, sorry, Stussy, how many times did I change my bra this morning to make sure that y'all wouldn't see the dreaded back fat on camera? Right. I mean, yeah. We all have body dysmorphia, so it's okay, but give yourself grace. Sorry, I interrupted you. What was the point you're about to make about individualized?
I just say yeah, body dysmorphia is individualized. For every feeling that you feel, for every image that you see, whether we talk about it from a perspective of being overweight to getting fit, but I mean, it can be reversed too if you are underweight and you just want to take and be bigger. Like, for example, heavy set or more robust people tend to think that they're being judged by the size of them. but so do really, really skinny people. When they walk into a room, they feel like they're being judged by the size. One saying, I can't get weight taken off, and the other one saying, I can't put enough weight on. And the ignorance of society around you, and I don't say ignorance because people are ignorant. Ignorance from a perspective they just don't know any better because they don't know. You don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Says, well, you should just eat more or you should eat less. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is no guidance. It's just a blanket statement, right? As if it covers.
And it's hurtful.
Everything.
Because it's so simple, but it's not that simple. Like
I agree. And I think the one thing that if there's a takeaway that can come from a journey such as this, any kind of transformation, it's not just physical. There's a wellness capability, a mental health component to this
for sure.
That you are constantly taking and having to revisit. It is an emotional juggernaut where it's not just about going in and putting in the work. It's the conscientious effort every single day in everything you do. Don't graze. Make sure you're getting the right amount of nutrients into your body. Go hit the gym, work out, and then at the same time you're like, oh my God, my clothes don't fit, or they don't fit well enough, or I don't like the way this looks on me. I did yesterday, but not today. I can't tell you how many times, from Jenny's perspective, that you change clothes.
Oh gosh.
Like we're trying to go someplace and I walk in and I grab my clothes and I'm like, yeah, this looks good. I'm fine. I go to leave. But that is body dysmorphia at play.
Character flaw.
Where she will change 4 or 5 times different outfits, but she will change and she'll come out. And then she needs my kind of, not approval, but
what do you think?
Opinion on it. Mm-hmm. And I give my opinion. And normally it's very like, you look great. You always look great. And everything you wear, you look great. And then she's like, okay. And then she walks back in and like, okay, we're done. Mm-hmm. And then she comes back in a totally different outfit.
Right. It just didn't feel right,
I mean, whether it be the shoes, whether it be the shirt, whether it be the pants, and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that everything is has an emotional aspect to it. And you have to quiet both the internal and external noise because it's ongoing. And you can get really cerebral about your experiences, your feelings. And it's important to realize that you have to protect those feelings. You have to be fiercely, aggressively independent for your goals, your results, how you feel, because you cannot explain it to anybody.
Right.
Because it's so individualized, you can't share with somebody who's not on a journey because they're not emotionally mature enough in that aspect unless they have gone through a journey to be able to have that discussion. And so I think that is, that's what's scary.
You can share, but then you might get disappointed in the response that you get.
Well, and that's what I mean, is that sharing may be more of a detriment than, an anchor to build off of.
Right. But I mean, to wrap up, I think what we're saying is just love yourself. Everyone sees themselves differently in the mirror, differently every day. And it's totally normal, but as long as you remember that that's your body and that's the only body that you're ever going to have, and if you don't like something about it, then change it. Do something to change it.
Yeah. Act as if. Be the change that you want to see in yourself. You can start playing the part before you ever get there, and it builds a layer of confidence. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, it builds a layer of resilience as well, and determination that helps continue to drive. When we've always said motivation's a short fuse and she's a son of a bitch. But if you can take and actually use the sum of all of your experiences and the emotional fortitude that you've had to develop in order to get from point A to point B, not even point A to Z, but A to B, just to keep going, you will find the results. For us, it's love yourself first, be the change that you want to see in yourself, and, quiet the external factors that may derail you. Because now you've learned that this is an internal game as well as an external game.
Right. And remember that we are our own worst critic. Yeah. So those flaws that you see, nobody else sees.
I agree. I think that we will revisit this topic in a variety of ways. Maybe not in such a formal, hey, we're talking about body dysmorphia today, but you'll hear it quite often, because I think that while we're going through this journey and we're sharing this journey, that it's also therapeutic for us to be able to share our internal thoughts. Because if we're feeling them, I'm pretty sure you are as well, or you have. And we want to normalize that. Well, for me as a guy, I want to normalize the conversation around male insecurities.
Yes. You guys feel the same things we feel.
Right. And we just need to be able to speak to it. And I think if we speak to it, then we can have more of a symbiotic relationship with the other sexes that are going through this with us.
Yeah.
And if you can understand your journey, then you can understand their journey. And I think that creates a different level of respect, a layer of accountability to yourself. Yeah. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see y'all next week.
Yeah, as always, please continue to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.